What is up, Box Critters players? Joe and Icy here with a very special interview. We have Nathan Sawatsky, but you guys probably all know him as Gizmo, Club Penguin's first moderator, and was in charge of a lot of other fun stuff, which we will get into. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time doing this interview with us today. This is so cool, and hopefully we get to ask some cool questions and get some cool answers.
It's my pleasure. So they're cool questions. So if it's not a cool question, can I refuse to answer it?
I don't know. No, you don't have to.
I'm gauging everything on the level of cool at this point.
All right. Well, that sounds good to me.
And so, how you started, how you got here, how you got to Club Penguin, what you were doing before, basically what led up to this, just how you started.
Yeah, I was never going to go into business. I was going to be a rock star.
I
So
see it.
when I when I was young, I think the first thing that I wanted to do was be an astronaut. Probably after being a garbage man, because I think every kid wants to be a garbage man at some point. But I moved. I downgraded my career ambition from garbage man to astronaut. But I'm old enough that I remember whenever the spaceship blew up. And so
Okay.
after that, I decided, nah, maybe I just want to be a scientist. And then, I was really set on kind of like inventing things. But then I learned that you had to be good at maths in order to be a scientist. So at some point between being a garbage man and where I am now, I kind of decided that I want to be a rock star. So throughout high school, I played in bands, and I mean, we were okay. We did some fun stuff, but I'm not sure that I was ever quite cool enough to be a rock star. So then I was going to do like jazz because you can be a little geeky and do jazz. But in all of that, I ended up kind of going down the path of either becoming a teacher or a theologian. And at some point, my friend Lane, who others would know as Billy Bob, said, "Hey man, we got this new thing that we're just about to launch, and we need somebody who likes kids. You want to come and check it out?" And
Wow.
I came in and I interviewed with Lance and Lane and Dave. And at one point, Lance asked me, he says, "Hey, like, so we're not sure if this is ever going to get really big, but like maybe one day you'll have like two or three people on your team. Are you cool with that? Like, do you feel comfortable leading two or three people?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, gosh, like I'd done some management, some leadership before, and I grew up around lots of really strong leaders. So I thought, yeah, I can do that. I can do that." And, next day I started, and well, the rest is history.
Wow. Let me rewind you there. You just said that you were friends with Lane before this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What's the story with that? You guys just grew up together, or?
Now we met through our church in
Oh, here we go, Joe. Here we go.
2004.
What is up with this church, dude? Everybody I've interviewed tells me this church is where it started, man. This is where the team was built. We met everyone at the church. Like, I'm serious. Except Johnny. Except Johnny. He didn't mention the church, but yeah, we know good old Johnny. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of us went to church at the early days, and I think a lot of people that first came on. I mean, Kelowna it's a small place, and I had worked with a youth group in Kelowna, and a lot of the first moderators that I ended up hiring were people that had grown up in my youth group. So
okay.
they're all kind of kids that were involved in music as well. Music scene, there's a kind of big tie between the gig scene and the church in Kelowna. And a lot of those people kind of were the early people, just because you hire who you know, you hire who you trust, and that was probably the genesis of a lot of the employees there.
So where'd you get the name Gizmo?
Oh boy.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about that. I was trying to figure it out. Somebody once told me that I must have gotten it from Scrubs, and I think that myth kind of took off for a little bit because I think it was like JD and Turk had a dog that they ended up stuffing. I think his name was Gizmo. Anyways, it came before that. I've always liked gadgets, but I
Okay.
didn't grow up calling them gadgets. I called them gizmos. And I don't know if anybody else calls them gizmos or if
I've
this is.
heard that. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah,
of it.
you have. Okay, cool, cool. So that was where it came from. I just like gadgets, but gadget felt like a little too Inspector Gadget, or maybe just a little bit too nerdy, and I kind of wanted to have a little bit of hipster. So Gizmo kind of felt a little bit removed, one part removed from being a total geek, and was just a bit of a nerd instead, and that worked for me.
Okay. I got a quick question. So you joined nearly close to 2006, late 2005, the golden ages. When did you just go to work one day and sit down and be like, wow, this is like actually happening? Like the game just blew up. Do you remember what time period that was? Like when you
Yeah,
knew
totally.
this was serious?
So I mean, it grew fast. When I started, I think it was just after we had launched. I think we were still in beta, if I remember correctly. And like, the scene is that it was a real estate building. There's a real estate office in the building that we were first in. And Dave, he had been running his own studio, New Horizon Productions, out of there for several years before. So like half of the office was production equipment. Half of the office was like this kind of really weird, once was real estate agent office, and then the other was kind of just this like room that had partitions up that we tried to turn into something that looked okay. And I sat right beside Lance. And so, kind of like the really, really early days, my job was to look at all of the chat logs. Literally, I would look at every single thing that every person said, and
Wow.
scroll through. And sometimes somebody would say, like, hey, I really want a yellow shirt. It would be awesome if you guys could make a yellow shirt. And I'd look at Lance and I'd say, dude, they want a yellow shirt. Can you do a yellow shirt? And he'd be like, oh, fine, fine, fine. And an hour later, we would put a yellow shirt in the store. And that was kind of like how it was, and that was like, I feel like it was that way for a long time. Like the church was for a month, and then we were hiring, the first moderators to join my team, and starting to hire more and more people. But it was in 2006. It would have been spring.
Oh yeah, good
I was
time.
I was taking a group of kids, actually down to California, and we were launching during the time that I was down in California. We were launching on MiniClip, and literally the day
Oh,
we launched on MiniClip, that would have been, I want to say it would have been like March 2006. The day that we launched on MiniClip, it just from that point, it was. I mean, to call it running would be an understatement. It just was fast, fast, fast.
that was the year, man. It was.
Miniclip was huge back then.
Yeah, it
Dude,
was massive.
it was the biggest splash site, man. I can't even express it. Like I wish the generation would understand. Like, dude, 2005 to 2008 was just, dude, it was nuts. Like
It
it
was
was
pretty
just,
cool.
yeah, man. The parties and I don't know. It was just a different experience than what I seen in the later years. Um, so what was it like working besides Lance and working with Lance in an overall experience?
It was awesome. Lance is he's a brilliant person, but really he's kind of a yeah. I think this is a good way to describe him. He's like a grumpy teddy bear.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Like he will grumble a lot, but he will always kind of do the right and good and noble thing. Like he has such a big heart, and the way that he sees the world is a little bit like a like a, I don't know what the word is. He just has this unique view of the world, and he picks up on things that other people won't pick up on, and sometimes totally misses the things that everybody else does pick up
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
He's a genius. He's a really, really clever, creative, and really nice guy.
No, he is, man. I've talked to him enough. He's definitely a good guy. What else you got for Club Penguin, Joe? I know that you're the this is he's all right. Just so you know, you're one of his favorite mods ever. So he was really
Oh,
excited to
yeah.
do this interview. So
Oh,
I
that's all.
actually got an opportunity to meet you for the first time ever on the last day or two before Club Penguin ended.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I joined one of the rooms and you were just there with a whole crowd of people, and it was cool.
That was really special. Like that, I remember, and I'm gonna make my sound like a bit of a geek here, but I remember sitting through those sessions with tears in my eyes. And it
wow,
was awesome. You
I
know?
couldn't do it, bro. I could not go back on Club Penguin. Like after Disney made those changes, like I don't know what it was. It just to me it was almost like this isn't the game I grew up on anymore. And it's not because I got older, because I'm still in the community. I'm almost 24. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with that. It just the overall original experience just turned into a business, and it just ruined it for me. So I wish I did log in on the last day, but I didn't. I wasn't able to attend that. So
Joe, whenever you came in on those last days, and you and I had a chance to meet, and that kind of like, what was your impression of the community? Because presumably, from the sounds of it, you weren't there at the beginning. So how did you view the community as it was then, and how did you imagine it before that point?
Oh man, no, I'm the one being interviewed here. Okay.
This is good.
Well, I mean, Club Penguin, was a huge part of my childhood. The community, there was something like no other. It created so many memories for me. And that community was just a huge part of those childhood memories. I mean, I made so many friends, and just that community was something special. And it was just as the years went on, it was just sad. Seeing them move on year after year. I stuck around, but everyone was just moving on. It was. Just everyone standing together there when the game ended. Like a lot of those people who were there even before me, or it's like complete end of an era. It's just there won't be ever anything like that again.
I feel that.
Yeah, even when the game shut down, it was just sad seeing all of that come to an end. All those memories. I mean, memories really aren't erased. They're there forever. I'll always remember.
Yeah.
And even though the
Yeah.
game was different before that, it.
It's really cool, man.
I
That's
mean, a lot of see, you guys don't see it as much as we did, but like, dude, there are easily thousands and thousands and thousands of kids that have become developers, including myself, just because of, dude, I was 10 years old. This is a true story. You can even Google it. I was 10 years old. I wanted to know how Club Penguin worked. I downloaded Flash and I made my own virtual world with SmartFox server, and it was the crappiest game you've ever seen in your life, but it worked.
what was
Okay,
it called?
it actually worked. Like you could get on, you could log on. There was no inventory. There was just, hey, I'm here. I'm walking around. It worked. I was 10 years old. I was happy, and that basically now I'm a web developer, like a web designer for a living. So that influenced not only, dude, this game has built the foundation for millions of people's lives, man. Like the community is still here, bro, and everyone's the designers that came from it, the people that learned to program, all the private servers, all the just everything. It's crazy how something so small and that's something that you guys have been with since the start. You would have never thought that at the end of the day it would change millions of lives, and it did. That's the craziest part, man. And I can't think of any other game or company or nothing has done that. Nothing has brought people together for that long in that sense. And even though it's gone and there's still private servers, everyone's still here, man. Just holding on, bro. It's great. That's the best part. It's
So
crazy.
I see. What was your game called that you made?
It was Club Zombies. Me and my buddy Flappy 282 made
Ah,
it. Wait, have you
that's
heard of
awesome. No, but that's awesome.
it? It was, dude. It was. I'll just send you a picture in the Skype call. It was I don't know, man. It was a lot at that age, learning databases and servers and Flash and websites, and it was fun, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it was a good time, man.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly smart enough to learn all that stuff, but I was very inspired to do YouTube and all that for Club Penguins, so that was good for me at the time.
Yep. Yep.
All right, there's a photo of my virtual world, me and Flappy, way back in the day. It's on Google.
That is so awesome.
Dude, I
I
like
love
I
it.
said, dude, we were 10. The dude was like 8, man. He was a genius, man. He did all the server work. It was a genius. And I did all the Flash work, and it was just, dude, I don't know, man. Like I said, it influenced a lot more than you would think. But,
That is really cool.
hey, man, good times. Go ahead, Joe. You can hit him with another question.
So I hear you were in charge of parties, events, and stuff. Is that true, or?
Well, like to say in charge is probably it's the wrong way to talk about the way that we were in the early days. Like especially for that first couple of years, and I don't mean this to sound like it kind of went all poo-poo, whenever we started getting more and more structure. That's just what happens when things grow. But, in the early days, it really was just everybody wore every hat and kind of was just really into things. So, I remember those early events. yeah, like my job was to kind of help ensure that the community was growing and healthy and vibrant. And so, I would oversee some places, screen hog, like guy with the genius coming up with some of the quirkiest little things that I'd say were probably what made the parties super cool, is because
I love
just
Hendrix.
like a thing. There was a name and a time, but there'd just be like, hey, if you click on this little thing would happen. And to me, that was like the real magic of what was going on was just the little bits of detail. And this is kind of funny because a lot of that we were actually inspired by Disney. So this is before Disney bought us, but like there's places particularly in Toontown. I don't know if you've ever been to Toontown in
Oh
Disney,
my gosh, yep.
right? You go in and you can pick up a phone and you can talk to somebody, or you look down the manhole and you literally have to get like right down onto the ground in the middle of Disneyland, but you can look into the manhole and there's a whole thing down there. Or I remember we talked about it often at the top of was it Rocky Mountain Railroad? Whenever you get to one of the tops of the hills, there's this little rattlesnake up there, and you fly past it so fast, but they still took the time to put this little rattler in it so that if you were paying attention, you'd see the rattler. And that was massively influential on the way that we thought about the island and in the way that we would shape kind of the events. Is we wanted there to be those things that for people in the community that were going to take the time to really invest into it, they wouldn't
Right.
be disappointed. They would see that just that little thing that would make it just be that much extra special. And that was all Chris Hendricks and Lance in the first days. That was their stuff, and I think that was probably the biggest special thing.
Okay. I got a question for you that's not game related, and I don't know why you guys all do it, but dude, you guys are from Canada. I'm from New York. What is up with you guys in Starbucks? Like, you guys don't go to Tim Hortons? Like, I don't. I know you used to work at Starbucks. No, seriously. I talked to Lance and Chris Glidden about this. I'm like, dude, you guys are meeting at Starbucks. You're Canadian, and I'm from New York, so I know how good it is. So, I mean, is it just like, what is it out there? I don't get it.
Yeah, Americans are divided by Republican and Democrat, and Canadians are divided by Starbucks and Tim Hortons.
Okay. All right. Hey. All
So,
right.
I mean, look, if you're from the east of Canada, you're a Timmy's person. If you're a farmer on the prairies, you're a Timmy's person.
Okay.
If you are from the west coast, and in fairness, Vancouver was the second city after Seattle that got Starbucks.
Really? Okay.
So we have some ownership over it.
I did not know that. No kidding. That's funny. Um, I don't know. Go ahead, Joe. Let's see what's next.
And what was your favorite thing about working at Club Penguin?
Fridays when they got their massages.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Oh wow.
Johnny, man. Dude, let it
Yeah.
go. Um,
You know, it was. This is gonna sound cliche. It's the answer you'd expect. It was the people. Like it was such a rad group of people who genuinely cared about it. And like, here's the thing. This is one of the things that I'd love to see as new businesses emerge. Is this understanding? So we moved fast, right? Like every day there was something that probably would break. And I'll take me for example. I was young. Like when I started, I was what would I would have been 24 when I started, 25. And like I said, I'd wanted to be a rock star. I had no experience, um, in business, and my team would grow to be big in 6 different countries, right? So like the only way that I was able to do all that was because there was just such an incredible warm compassion amongst the team. And I would screw up in some businesses. If a 25-year-old that had that much responsibility screwed up, everybody would be saying, "Hey, get him out of there."
right.
But I had the privilege of having Dave as a mentor who would sit down and give me this incredible wisdom about how to think about people and what leadership means and what it means to actually serve in leadership as opposed to kind of being this authoritarian leader. And that was it left such a huge impression on me, and it changed and formed who I am today. And I was doing all of that while I was growing this team, while we were growing this company. And the only way that I think we were able to be successful was because we just had a tremendous amount of grace for each other. Like we just had a tremendous amount of patience to say, look, none of us really know what we're doing. Some of us have more bravado than others, but really none of us actually know what we're doing. And so we're all going to make just a ton of mistakes. And if we focus on those mistakes, like if we let those mistakes turn us against each other, then we'll have to slow down, because that means then we can't make mistakes. But because there is such a grace about the whole place, we could make big mistakes and move on really quickly.
Okay. That makes sense.
So what was like the worst thing, or most stressful, or just something that ever went wrong, like the worst thing that maybe ever happened while working there?
Oh, man. Things went wrong all the time. Um, yeah, okay. So there's this one time where we we accidentally released a whole bunch of people's personal information,
Oh.
Uh-oh.
and it caused just a lot of work for the support team. And it was a mistake that probably we should have avoided making. And it generated, probably for 2 weeks, we had to set up like a special team that was purely dedicated to just kind of like dealing with the fallout from that.
Right.
But I think what was really neat about it was, again, like it could have been one of those really stressful moments where everybody kind of hated each other. But like I remember I was building the team, getting the team set up, and we were setting up this room with phones and special computers that we were going to be able to deal with the fallout. And Lane came over and he sat down with the team, and he actually handled some of the support. And the dev team that made the mistake, those guys didn't leave the office for like a week, and nobody was telling them that they couldn't, but they just took such unbelievable responsibility for the mistake that they made, that they worked harder than anybody else to make up for it. So I mean, it was a pretty stressful couple of weeks, but I mean, I guess that's kind of the theme, right? Like even those stressful weeks, they're really memorable because
Oh, exactly.
kind of brought us all a little bit together.
Makes
Yeah, I don't
sense.
think there's like a worse thing. I mean, that was
Live and learn, man.
yeah.
I was gonna ask you your favorite parties, but I already know the answer to that now. So.
I love Music Jam, man. That was the best.
I got two parties personally that I enjoy more
Which
than
one?
anything. It would be and I can't. There's no rank here. There's no one or two, but it would be between the 2006 sports party and the 2006. Even though it may not be considered a party, but the Lighthouse opening. I'll never forget just waking up at like 5 a.m. before school, sneaking downstairs, dude. I'm in the Lighthouse. There's hundreds of people everywhere. The music's like, come on, man. You can't get that stuff back, man. Like, okay, somebody's outside playing music. Hold on. All right, windows closed. Windows
Your
closed.
guys' YouTube is great. It has like even soundtrack just kind of comes in and out. It's pretty fantastic.
Hey, man, I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. I try to keep a Club Penguin feel to the videos, so it has that like sort of vibe, and people seem to enjoy that. So I just
That's
keep doing
awesome.
that as much as I can.
We haven't interviewed Lane yet, so one of these days, if you can ever get a hold of him for me, that'd be sweet. That's the one guy I couldn't get a hold of, man. Busy
He's
dude.
busy these days,
I
man.
know he is, man. I know he is, definitely. It's hard enough getting a hold of Lance, believe me. So he's hiking now, so.
Okay, so can you guys help me with something that I've been struggling with the memory for a while, and maybe you guys can help me with it.
Okay.
There was this season. So I'm going to tell you a story and tell me if I've got it right. Okay.
All right.
So there was, for whatever reason, because the Club Penguin community was awesome, uh, people started making recycling depots in their igloos, and they were using like the bird cage and the fridge and all these kind of weird stuff from the furniture catalog to make these recycling depots. And we thought, hey, this is awesome. This is a really good opportunity. We're going to release an entire catalog based on this whole recycling stuff. So we're going to like make these things that make smoke and they puff in these tubes, and we thought this was going to be the awesomest thing in the entire world. And there was this, in my memory, there's this big buildup, right, where like the whole community was really into recycling, or at least there was a good amount of the community that was into recycling. And then literally the day that we released the catalog with all the recycling stuff, the whole trend just stopped. Like nobody cared. Nobody was into recycling.
I
Is this
remember
where it
that.
does?
I do remember that.
And that led to the recycling plant, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was that was like the recycling plant kind of came as a result of us thinking that we could create the stuff that everybody. But it turned out that nobody wanted us to create it. They just wanted to continue to use their own stuff.
Yeah, that's what it. You know what? I remember that. Dude, that was a phase too, man. Like I remember because back in the day, you gotta understand, like there was no Twitter, Discord. We used Bribble chat system, okay, which a lot of people don't even know of it. They know of like XApp, but we had Bribble chat system. It was the most basic Flash chat system that you could ever have, and we had blogs. That was it. And I remember that phase, and you know what it was? I think it was more of a like you said, I didn't so much do it myself, but um, it was more of like somebody had the idea and it like just spread, and like when you guys actually created it, it was like okay, it's not fun no more. That's how they looked at it though. Like it was just they
Yeah, they,
just
they lost the creativity part.
that's what it was. It was more of like a role playing thing, I guess. That's the way that they put it was that, that someone did it and everyone started doing it, and it was just once you guys actually came out with the stuff, the funness and that sense of creativity was gone. Not that it was a bad thing, but it was just it was just a dude. There was so many different phases. What was the other one, Joe? What is that Pookie stuff that I don't even like? That's a newer one. Come
Gosh,
on.
no, the baby talk phase.
Yeah. No, the true OGs will remember there was one goal with your igloo. It was literally to crash the igloo. Get as many dance floors and TVs in your igloo as you can and see if it can load. I swear to God, man, that's what it was. That's
I never did that. I was just making normal houses or modeling my own
dude, there was like
house or
2
decorating by the
years.
season.
Nah, there was 2 years of us just doing that, bro. People just filling their igloos with animations and that was fun, dude. That was really fun. What's your favorite game on Club Penguin? That's a good
Mancala.
question. Oh my God, I don't even know how to play that game. It's been 20
Oh,
something years or 30, 40, whatever. I still don't understand it.
dude, it's great. You can play it just in the dirt with some rocks. Like
Like
it's
I
it's a it's a great game.
how do they move though? Like I don't understand when you make your move, like what judges were like that more move like I just don't understand it. I'll stick to Fine Four, man.
Do you know that Mancala? So when oh, what is his name? The guy, the CEO of Miniclip. Totally drawing a blank with his name.
I don't know
Anyways,
it.
him and Lance actually go way back. And whenever, and I'll think of it in a second.
Of
Whenever
course
whenever he
Lance does.
was when he was starting up Miniclip, he would hit Lance up and say, "Hey, look, I need another Flash game. Can you make me another
Robert
Flash
Small?
game?" And yeah, that's it, Rob Small. Yeah, yeah. So when Rob needed another game, he would kind of hit Lance up and say, "Hey, I need another game." And one of the first games that Lance created for Miniclip was Mancala. So
Really?
this was before Penguin. So that's why Mancala was one of the first games in Penguin, as we already had the file for it. We just needed to change the art.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. See, I didn't know. I mean, I know Lance knows everybody, but we're going way back in time now. That's crazy, man.
And Ballistic
Lance,
Biscuit was Hydro Hopper.
yeah, that's right.
Yes,
Yeah,
Ballistic Biscuit. I don't know why. Why did you guys rename that, dude? Like, I remember logging in. There was a vote. Like, why did we? Do you remember that,
I don't. I
dude?
remember it changing, but I don't remember it.
I don't remember when it changed, but there was a vote, and I was like, I don't know why it changed. I think it was. I don't know. I never had an answer to that to this day. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen the community more divided than when you guys had the color votes.
Lime Green Party, baby. Wasn't that 2006? Lime Green?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
You had that, and then a few years later, Lavender, Maroon, Aqua.
Man, those things like bordered on race
Yeah, they
wars.
really did.
Yeah, bro, dude. I'm telling you, live, dude. Yeah, there was full out wars over that.
Yeah, the fights were crazy and so tense, everyone wanting to kill each other over
Which
colors.
one did you see though, Joe? Because Lime Green was the party.
Yeah, it was the second vote because I wasn't around for the first one, obviously. Second one lavender, maroon, aqua.
Yes, of course.
Obviously, aqua won. I was on Team Lavender too, and I believe Lavender also lost during the first color vote against Lime Green.
Yes, it was. Lavender got shut out, bro. They got shut out.
Yeah, I got totally snubbed.
I was rooting for Lavender.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh,
Lavender. Yes, you lose.
Hey, lime green, lavender lost, buddy. Nah, but like, that's what I mean, dude. Like, for some reason, I don't know if I don't think it was the art style that stopped me from playing. It was just the creativity was more pushed towards, I mean, like I said, I tell everyone this I interviewed. At the end of the day, Disney made a hell of a business move, but as far as a community, that's how you destroy one, right there. That's just how you do it is promote, movies and stuff. Like back in the day though, like the parties were just so thought through and cussed like it. I don't know how you guys came up with this stuff, honestly. I really don't.
I could play for hours.
Exactly, dude. Remember the Frozen and Mammoth days and dude, what? At the dock? You don't even understand. Frozen after school, everyone going Frozen after school.
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
all the OGs are on there at the dock, and dude, it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy how some small game can just develop like lives for millions of people, like just memories, dude. That's crazy. Like, and everyone's got their own story.
I think that's the thing, right? Like, I think the one thing, if there was anything that we did right with Penguin, and there was tons that we did wrong, but if there was anything that we did right, it was our instinct, and this really kind of, this is probably, this is Lane and Lance's biggest gift to the community, was very early on recognizing that this was not our community, right? So, like for example,
Ah,
and maybe somebody has said this to you already, but when you would first log in Penguin, um, for
I
the
told you
first
they call
for
it
the first
penguin.
few seconds, every penguin would look at you, and then they would resort back to the thing. So like it was programmed in that whenever you first popped into whatever room it was, every penguin would be facing you before they would kind of resume whatever they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And like whenever we created even Rockhopper and Antarctic, like when we first conceived those characters, the biggest thing that we struggled through was like they can't become Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. Like they can't be the thing that people want to see. So even with Gizmo and Billy Bob and Screen Hog, uh, like our goal was to not try and be the famous penguins. It was to make sure that the community felt like it was theirs, and it was constantly this dance of making sure that the community recognized that this was theirs. And this is a funny story. This is a battle that I ended up losing. And unfortunately, I lost it after I left Penguin, so I never got to see it. But when we joined Disney, Disney has this beautiful, rich tradition of referring to people that come to their parks as guests.
Right.
In
Yep.
Disney Online Studios, or whatever it was before we joined Disney Company, they would refer to all of their users in Pixie Hollow as guests, in Toontown as guests. And we fought really, really hard. Like we never referred to the community after the Disney acquisition as guests because they weren't. The community wasn't visiting this our world. We simply just got to be the caretakers of the community's world. And I think, like I see whenever you talk about that transition and how it just kind of lost some of that, I think the challenge is the very thing that made Penguin special and that made it successful was ultimately the thing that would be its downfall because the art wasn't incredible. It was quirky. It was fun. It was
And that's the
Mario.
point,
Right?
though. Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
It was original, dude. It was 2005. It was 2006. Like, it just, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of people don't realize, for you guys that are going to watch this video, they bought Club Penguin 2 years after launch, 2007. That is you didn't see the changes right away. So a lot of people didn't know that. But 2007, for being able to create a company and sell it within 2 years, that's hard work, man. That's a lot of dedication and time right there.
Yeah.
Um,
So there was a lot of sleepless nights. But the funny thing is, even after the Disney acquisition, we would, if something would go wrong, like so, for example, let's say there was a bug somewhere,
right.
the great thing was before Disney acquisition, the community would write to us and say, "Come on, you guys, get it right. There's this bug. Why did you do this?" After the Disney acquisition, same people made the mistake. They're like, "Oh, you guys, oh, we're so sorry that Disney's making all these mistakes on you."
Hey man, I want to hear your thoughts on two things. First of all, before I get into Sony, because we'll get to Sony, were you around? I mean, you were around when Puffles, it didn't come out till what, 2006, somewhere April or March 2006, but I know that they were like their art of it was shown back in 2005. Were you at all involved in the creation or the name or the design of that, or was that already done when you got there?
That was all Screen Hog, man.
Really?
Yep.
That dude is a genius on his own way, man. He is. He is. He
Yeah.
was.
Chris
Him,
is he is truly, you know,
him,
there is
Lance, and Lance's brother Chris,
yep.
way back.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts here on? I know Sony was brought into the discussion when Club Penguin went up for sale. What path do you think that game would have took if Sony took over? Would it have approached teens more, or what are your thoughts on that? Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, I have thought about it. And I think
Would it
if
have lasted as long?
my personal take is this: if we had joined a company that wasn't Disney, I think Penguin probably still would be going. And I don't think it's because Disney ruined it. I think that we probably just would have had um, we probably just would have stayed really focused on Penguin,
Right.
and we would have stayed focused on building another product that would have been as equally unique as Penguin, or
Okay.
at least we would have tried to make something that was equally as unique. But like, look, like I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for anybody else on the team. But after the Disney acquisition, so I was 27 at this point, and
Okay.
um, we got bought, and my responsibility expanded to I was no longer seeing the community team for Penguin, but I was seeing it for Disney Online Studios, and so I inherited a large team down in LA, and we were developing teams around the world. And I was young. I was young and I was dumb, and I remember thinking, "Oh, this is so awesome! Look at all of this team that I have responsibility for, and look at all of these products." And I remember looking at some of the products, going, "Oh man, I know better. I know how we could make, this one product better." And rather than focusing on the product that really was in a good, healthy spot and needed the attention of the team to continue to make it a really good, healthy spot, for my part, I let my attention slip on it, and I started to focus on things that probably weren't as important.
No
And
doubt.
I think, truth be told, I think had we joined another studio, whether it was Sony or somebody else, I'm not sure that our attention would have been split like it was. And Disney did a lot of great things for us. I don't mean it's a bad thing, but
No,
I
I
think
mean,
in that particular regard, I think it caused us to take our eyes off of what was.
After Disney took over, it was okay for a few years. At least it wasn't terrible.
they kept it. I mean, you gotta be honest, man.
They turned it into a product the last few years.
But can you blame them? Can you blame
No,
them?
you can't.
That's why they did it. They took millions of players and promoted their stuff. And when they, I don't know, I'll never understand the CPI thing. Whoever's just, I'm sorry to all you CPI fans, but whoever's decision that was, that guy should be fired. Okay, that was a horrible decision. I mean, you got your money's worth. Come on, like let the game just. And I understand a lot of you guys, the newer community, those that are going to listen to this, you guys enjoyed CPI like I enjoyed CP, and I get that, but it just was not. That was not Club Penguin, man. I'm sorry, it wasn't. That was something I don't even know. I don't know. It was just dark times.
I also read the employees weren't treated too well over there.
Well, Disney's a big company, man. They got a lot. It's not a. Yeah, that's exactly what Nate here is saying. Like it, Disney is more at the end of the day. They do take care of their employees, but the community feel of having such a small office with all your friends that was gone. It was more of a business thing at that like later down the road. But you left in what 2011, so you didn't see too much of the crap.
I was, things changed after 2011, didn't they?
Yeah, that's when I was done, man. I think I played it. I quit around like 2010. I think I dabbled online a couple times in 2011, and that was it. It was over.
Yeah, I mean, as the years went on, I played less. Around 2011-ish, I would start taking breaks every other month, and I really stopped, after 2012, and I really didn't come back until the end.
So what did you guys play after? What? I don't mean to suggest that anything replaced Penguin. But what
Um,
was next for you guys? What was kind of the next thing that you found
to be
exciting?
honest, I'll go first.
Yeah, go
It
ahead.
turned into developing. It turned in. Well, here's I might get some hate for this, but here's a backstory. Mike 92, me and Mike 92. Uh, we have the videos somewhere on YouTube. We were the first official hackers ever on Club Penguin. We made the bots. We made the Penguin client library. We hacked the beta hat. We were the guys. We were the two guys. No, I put this on everything. I love. We were the two guys that had I'm sure you remember the time there was hundreds of bots on with the beta hat, and you guys were wondering how the hell we did it. That was us.
I remember that distinctly, my friend.
That was us, dude. I could tell you, dude. We called your offices in like 2007. We sat on Skype for about 8 hours and called every extension and Rick rolled every single extension. Either they answered or they didn't. We Rick rolled every dude. That's what it. Dude, I used to call your support line on Skype. Two people. One would answer, I'd be like, "Hey, can you hold on for a second?" Answer the other one. I'd connect the call. They'd be like, "Jeff, it's Karen. Hang up." Like they'd just be sitting there talking to each other for a minute. Like that's what it turned into was okay, let's take like the community didn't die, dude. We all like I said, everyone turned into we wanted to make our own games. We wanted to replicate Club. Dude, me and Flappy was one of the first people. You got Irath. Dude, I can tell you everyone, Irath, his name's Alex. He was the one that made the first private server source ever for Club Penguin. Like it was just that's what it was. And we didn't do it in a bad sense. Like we weren't there to ruin the game. It was just that was our fun and somebody had to do it. You know what I mean? And that was what was exciting to us after the community and stuff. I kind of moved into development and, more. I worked for Bubblegum Interactive. They were a company out of Australia. I actually helped them. I did the same thing. I'd hack their game and then show their devs how to fix it in Flash. So that's just what I did, man. Is we took over that phase in the community, and we, like I said, a bunch of the kids now that are running the private servers and building the sources are really smart kids, man. And that's what I mean is Club Penguin didn't just build a community; it built the foundation for a lot of people's lives as far as videos, people making Club Penguin art, people programming. There's a whole community still, man. And you guys never got to experience that backside of like I said, Exat Chat, Bribble Chat, Skype was the thing for years, and that's where the community was when we weren't chatting on the game. We were all on here just talking, and that's how I look at it, man.
That's rad. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, so I played lots of games on the side with Club Penguin. One of the ones I played during that time was Pirates Online.
Yeah, yeah.
Then another game I played was Wizard 101. That was a lot of fun. Still play that.
Oh, cool.
Then, of course, I had the console games like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, stuff like that.
Nictopolis, baby.
Awesome.
But I played all those together for a long time. Even with Club Penguin, I played all of them together. And like I said before, I started to play a little less and would only play for a month or two and take break, come back. I really don't know why. I mean, it could have been the changes. Disney making changes was a huge part. Or the game didn't start to feel the same anymore. I was getting older. I wish I really had a definite answer, but I really think Disney's like the big one. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they just changed it so much. It lost the nostalgic factor and really the fun. It could have been like I said, it could have been me getting
The
older, but just don't
simpleness was
know.
gone. That's what it was. Let's talk about the current day. We'll get into what you're doing and stuff in a minute, but what are your thoughts on the future of box critters? Do you see it potentially growing to something big one day? Do you see what are your thoughts on it overall? I know it's early. obviously.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic so long as it doesn't become too much. I think we've
That's
said
the key.
several
There you
times
go.
that it's simplicity is key, and I think Lance knows that. Lance is he's really keen to the fact that Club Penguin. There's a lot of critique that Club Penguin failed because it failed to evolve. And I
Right.
actually think it's the very opposite. I think that it evolved too much. And some of that is just scale. Like we live in a time where everything eventually scales to be so big and like we all want our products to be successful, but it's the success that will ultimately kill it. I think that Lance is gonna probably hold a lot of those lessons really closely.
Right.
And he knows all of that. He's very keen to where Club Penguin started to falter, and he's very
Well, he's
aware.
been through up and downs, man. Mech Mice failed. He knows failure. He knows success.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
now he doesn't have anyone up his ear this time. Like he wanted to make dead whales in a jail cell on Club Penguin, but now he can do it. He can do whatever he wants now. So that's the cool part of it. No, it's what he said, man. It's word for word from the man himself.
Yeah, he was like, I wanted to add this and that, and they wouldn't let me.
Dead whales at the beach, and I wanted a jail cell for banned players, and I'm like, all right. I wanted blood. He said, I want blood, and that's just like I said, he can do what he wants now with box critters. So that's cool. What let's talk about you though. What is Nate, aka Gizmo, doing in 2019? What do you got going on these days?
So I am just about finished my master's. I went back to
Ooh,
school
nice,
in a master's in cybercrime and digital investigations.
nice. I always wanted to be an investigator, but I didn't want to be a cop for 10 years.
Nor do I. I became so I after Facebook, I worked with Chris Breed, so that's his brother,
Yeah,
helping
Chris.
helping build Two Hat, and
Nice.
did a few other things, and then I went to work at Facebook for a little bit.
Wow.
And I think in all of that, I became just really, really interested on the way that technology impacts society. So for me right now, a lot of the consulting work that I'm doing is focused on just that, trying to understand how it is that we're viewing technology, what sort of policies we're putting in place to either safeguard ourselves or to improve technology. And I'm increasingly, I don't want to say concerned. I don't want to overhype it, but I'm increasingly aware of the fact that technology is becoming um, seemingly more
Yeah.
magic, and I don't think that's a good thing. So, for example, my kids, they're not allowed to get into gaming until they can create a game themselves.
10
And
years old, baby. No, I'm just kidding.
that's it. Serious.
No,
Uh,
I respect that. I mean, it's scary nowadays. I'm sitting here talking to you guys about paper towels, and then an ad pops up on Facebook about paper towels. So there's a little, it's not, what I mean. Like you said, I believe in the next 10 to 20 years, it is going to get scary. The rate that it's growing is it's crazy, man. Like I was luckily to be a part of the generation where back in elementary and middle school, we wrote notes. Do you like me? Yes or no. There was no cell phones, texting, and it was. I'll never forget this. This is the corniest thing I can ever remember. I remember sixth grade. There was the cutest girl ever in my class. I go, hey, do you want to meet me at the coffee shop at 4 p.m.? And you didn't even have to mention Club Penguin. That's what it. I'm serious. You
did
didn't
she?
have to mention. Yeah, she did show up. You don't. It
Killer.
was
Nice.
Brittany something, but you don't have to. That's when Club Penguin was everything. Like literally, just meet me at the coffee shop. Oh, are you play Club Penguin too? Like, yes, everybody knew what it was. So it was funny, man. I don't know. It's crazy times, dude. Like I said, I'd like to interview
The way that
lots and lots.
technology is. Sorry, say that again.
No, I said I would like to interview lots of people, from all different aspects of Club Penguin just to get their take on it because everyone had a different experience, man.
It's true. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
no, back to the technology though. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say, like I think that there's a lot of reason to be hopeful, and talking to you guys, I am hopeful, right? Like one I remember really early in Club Penguin, we had an all hands, And this was when we were really kind of we were realizing that Penguin was going to turn into something. Before that, I think we just thought that it would be a little hobby project. Although I think we all knew that it was special, but this is whenever the numbers started to prove that it was special, and we had more and more people joining every day, and we wanted to really early on define what success would be. So like success when we hit this milestone for number of users or for paying subscribers or whenever our bank account hits this,
Right.
and we decided that for us, and it ended up leading to kind of what our mission statement was, which was if it doesn't matter to an 8-year-old, it doesn't matter to us. Um, but we kind of we basically we drew a line in the sand and we said, look, Club Penguin's success is going to be if we can create a generation of people who actually care about each other and care about the world and do something good. And if we can do that, like if that is what happens, it doesn't matter how successful Penguin is, that is success. And look, I mean, the amount of
Yeah.
people that I've met in Penguin that it was at least part of their journey. Um, I think there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about the way the world is going, but I think there's a lot of reasons to be encouraged. And I think that your generation is going to fix a lot of the crap that we made.
Crap that we made. Um, yeah, no, I mean, it did, dude. It there's nothing like it. That's all I know. There's nothing like it. Um, what was your peak while you were there at registered users? Do you remember?
No. It's funny. We talked about number of users so little. Like,
Wow.
if somebody asked about it, it was almost like it was kind of like a taboo thing because it was just so important to us not to care about the numbers.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, and Lane would have been the person that was paying the most attention to it. And I'm fairly certain that most days, if you asked him, he wouldn't have known either.
No doubt. So I got a question for you. I need people to fully understand this. So Dave owned New Horizon. Was Lane already with Dave at New Horizon?
Yeah, both of them were. Both Lane and
Okay. And
yeah.
Lance, his brother Chris, and Screenhog were, working on the game. Did they come to Dave and Lane and say, "Hey, here's our idea. Let's put this together and go with it"?
Okay, so here's the story. So um, Dave's company was New Horizon,
Okay.
and uh, Lane was like a creative director. He did producing. They did commercials and worked with big clients. And Lane was super hyper relational. Was a ridiculously awesome sales guy and a really creative guy. Lance was the lead web developer. So Lance would do. And this is early in web development.
Way early.
They were building some really seriously advanced web pages for clients. And I think he was in Africa. He was in Europe somewhere. Dave loved making documentaries. So Dave, I think, was in Europe for like a 2-week period making a documentary or something like that.
Right.
And Lance and Lane kind of got together and got talking. And Lance had been working on this idea for Penguin for a long time, but he hadn't told anybody about it. And so he kind of shared a little bit with Lane. Lane got really excited about it. Long story short, when Dave came back, they both approached and said, "Hey, look, we've got this thing. Lance has created this thing. We think that we should build it." And Dave said, "Cool, we've got enough money, so let's start production on this and see what happens." And so Chris, meanwhile, was at university, I think. Chris Preeb, that is. He was at university, and he was just starting to get into. I'm sure that he was in technology for a long time, but he was starting to build different things for the university, and so he started building the back end and the chat systems and the social systems for Lance. And Lance contracted Chris Hendricks
Yeah.
to start making some of the early art, and some of the early games, and so. It would be a while before Chris Preeb would join the company, and Chris Hendricks, Screenhog, was part of the company from day one, but he stayed a contractor for a long time, actually, before he decided. And it was his decision to stay a contractor and his decision to finally join the company full time. But I mean, he is both of those guys, both Chris Preeb and Chris Hendricks, are so deeply integral right from the various earliest points, just as much as Lance is for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. Huh. No, I'm glad you clarified that for some people. So that's cool. You got anything else for him, Joe? As far as his life or Club Penguin or anything?
I got all my questions answered. I just want to say again, this is cool because I never really got to meet any of the team in the past, and seeing one that last day or two, hanging out on the game, was just awesome. You know, I have the footage of it and everything actually. Um, I recorded it.
If you find it, send it over to me. I'd love to have that.
Oh, for sure. I'll post here so you can see it.
Dude, why did everybody think you were Dave? That's what I want to
I don't
know.
know. There, yeah, there's a few urban legends that came up around who Gizmo was, and I think it was Lance that finally outed me at some point on Twitter.
Somebody, yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. Dude, I thought you were gone, bro, until you commented back on who was it? Train or what the heck's his name? Whatever on Twitter. I thought you were gone. Like I tagged your old Twitter and then you tweeted with your new one. I was like, oh, there he is. No kidding. I thought you were just. Well, okay. I mean, tell me this. What about Happy? Where's she at? She just vanished, right? Or is she still?
Yeah,
Like,
Holly. I don't know where she is
that's
anymore.
what I'm saying. People are just gone, man. It's like, you know, it's like I try to do my little hacker research on people and try to get some details, and she's just. I seen something about her working for some type of company in Canada, but I didn't know what it was, and I was like, whatever. Just
Yeah,
live on.
the lady behind Antarctica. She was kind of the first editor. Jin Ant, Ant Jin Aunt Genopia, Aunt Jemima, something like that.
Aunt Jemima, syrup, baby.
I think it was Aunt Jemima, not Jemima. It was Aunt Jemima.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm in the UK right now. I'm staying with her and her partner at their house right now. So
Oh, wait,
a lot
what?
of the community has stuck together. A lot of the
Wow.
that have worked together for years. Yeah.
No kidding. Did you guys have like specific teams for newspapers and catalogs and stuff like that too?
Yeah, so I mean, me and Happy were probably the first two people that wrote the newspaper, and Lane would write some of the stuff too. And we hired Jen as she was one of the first PSRs,
Wow.
and she has a journalism background, and so she ended up kind of joining Happy and writing a lot of stuff, and then she ended up taking over and created Antarctic. And at that point, the team had grown, so I stopped doing a lot of the newspaper stuff. And yeah, there was a newspaper editorial team that every week. And interesting fact, more people read the Club Penguin newspaper than read the New York Times.
No way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. That's crazy, man.
Isn't that awesome?
I mean, it's like you said, back in the day, it was something new every week, you know. So people loved to check out the paper to see what was. Dude, I remember that's the first thing you checked. There's a party. Oh, it don't matter. There's a new paper. Let's see what's coming next. Like,
Yep.
you know, that's just boom. Like, you're right, man. That's a good fact, guys. That's unbelievable. I've never known that, dude.
So here's another cool fact about the newspaper. So before we launched our first non-English language, there was a group of kids in Brazil who every week would translate all of the content. I forget what their website was, but they had a site where they basically translated every bit of content.
Wow.
So the catalogs, the newspaper, every week they translated it into Portuguese so that the Portuguese players knew what was going on. And there was hundreds of them, like thousands of them. But this one
dude,
actually,
that's the second biggest community is Brazil.
And they got together and they organized the penguins in the cave. And they made a Portuguese flag out of the penguins, all respective colors. Or sorry, a Brazilian flag. And then one penguin stood up, and I can't remember which penguin it was, but one penguin stood up and said, "Hey, please come to Brazil." And that was why we launched Portuguese as a second language.
Absolutely. That was a lot of work. That had to be a lot of work, man.
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
Languages. Oh my gosh.
Easy.
I can just imagine. But no, that was great, dude. That's what I tell Joe all the time. I'm like, man, we got to figure out a way to push our YouTube videos to different languages, and you know, and because like I think Lance told me this, but like you said, Brazil is the second largest gaming community in the world, behind us. US.
Man. They are crazy. They are.
Yeah, dude.
They are just an amazing community of gamers down there.
Oh, they are. Like I said, I wish I could understand it, but you know, it's definitely that's the thing about it is it's not just you guys took over the whole world, man. Like everybody knew Club Penguin, dude. You know what I mean? That was just. What are you doing I remember 5th grade. I'm sitting there in the library playing. Everyone's on Club Penguin. Hey, can you hack me a member, Puffle? Sure. Seriously, man. Dude, I remember that there's one. What's up, Go ahead.
You were one of the cool kids when you had membership.
That's the dude. I remember 5 minutes, like whatever, like right when I logged on for the beta party, dude. I was like, I want everything, man, like everything. Like, and I remember membership and like bugging my mom, dude. It's $5. It's $5. She's like, what is it? You know, that's how it was. So I'm like, it's $5, man. Just come on. Like, I need it. I don't think I got membership till the day of the sports party when I seen all the jerseys and I was like, dude, I need this. Like, that was just, I don't know. You guys sold it, man. I'll give you that. You definitely sold it. So,
That's awesome.
other than that, man, I pretty much asked what I wanted to ask, and like I said, I appreciate your time, man, and giving us this cool interview and just making the game what it was, brother. I appreciate it, and I hope everything you're doing and your masters, and I hope whatever you plan on doing with your cyber security stuff, just don't don't send them my way, but do your do your I don't need the cyber division here, so. But no, I appreciate it, Nate, for real. Thank you so much, dude, for doing the interview. And if Joe has any further questions, go for it, man.
Wonderful. It was
I
good.
appreciate it.
Again.
Oh, for sure.
For
Definitely.
sure, this was fun. Also, I sent you that video I recorded, so you can check it out whenever. You're about 4 minutes in, I believe.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is one of my favorite interviews so far. It's just a different approach, man. I love it. Like, it's seeing everyone's side. So
It's been a lot of fun for me. So seriously, let's chat again sometime.
yeah, man, I'll definitely get in touch in a couple months or something. We'll see what's going on with Box Critters, and we'll I guess my phone's ringing, but we'll yeah, we'll go from there. We'll see what's going on in the life of Gizmo in a couple months or something. So thank you though, bro. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy your coffee. Don't get it in your beard. And other than that, man, thank you though, for real,
Yeah,
bro.
thank you.
Have a
This
good
was
day,
cool.
man.
You guys, well, all right. See you later.
See ya.